Welcome back, everybody. It is noon on a Thursday, and Richmond, Virginia has got another snow day. And right now, let me look out the window. It is raining cats and dogs, so who knows what's going to happen. I know west of us and north of us is getting hammered right now, so we'll see. But anyway, we have got a lot in store for you. Let me get this screen to where it's supposed to be and go through all this information, because it's been a little while. You know, people have kids at home, they're usually at work, and everybody's trying to figure out what to do. So one of the neatest things we're going to be talking about is going through and figuring out exactly how do we work with these projects and tasks and everything else too. So let's get started. Let's see how many people are we got here. People showing up, doing what they need to do. Fantastic. I know it's been a while. Kids are supposed to be in school today, but they're not. But let's move forward a little bit here. So many of you have met me on Facebook, or you've met me at live events, a bunch of different other places possibly, and essential oil presentations. We've got dojos, we have martial arts groups, we've got speaking engagements at Capital One. I've been to Altria. We've spoken in many different places, but you get to have me for about 30 minutes today. While the kids hopefully stay a little bit more quiet, and hopefully we'll get through this. So moving right along, one of the neatest things about ADHD is that it is easier to build up a child than it is to repair an adult. Absolutely. Although the adults in the practice right now are doing really well with their programs, and it's because I can be very direct with them and they understand, because they have a lot to do. And I was looking actually on our websites today, and it seems as though it is our adult ADHD blog topics and posts are getting an enormous amount of traffic lately, which is very cool. But I definitely want to know that we work predominantly with kids. Probably 50-60% of them are under, I would say, 12, and they do fantastic once we get the ball rolling and we figure out what we need to do. So there's a part of the story where I have ADHD. I grew up with and back in that time, and school psychologists, the administrators, the teachers really didn't know what was going on back then, and they had just started using Ritalin, and so they figured that was just the drug of choice, which was a bad idea for me. 3 or 4 more different medications later, I realized that I just can't do this medication thing. I need to find a way to handle this and redirect my brain's power, and I learned how to do it, and I'm teaching it to everyone else, and many of them are doing fantastic. So it all started with this book. In 1994, Dr. Ned Hallowell wrote Driven to Distraction. Great book. One of the first books to actually talk about ADHD as a gift, not this disorder, this nuisance, this problem, a moral decision between God and the devil, or a choice. Who chooses to be ridiculed and to get in trouble? They don't. But now we know it's not an excuse either. So I've championed Dr. Hallowell's cause and spent many hours with him, classroom, video, phone, all this stuff, to learn how to bring what we're going to be bringing to you today, and also in the program that we work with many willing clients from 4 years old to 47 years old, and every single week new people are coming in and new people are graduating. It's fantastic. So we know that we have trouble solving these issues because one of the problems is that most people are focused on the negative attributes, and that's important to know. That people are looking at it like, well, a disturbed class, or they just can't get their homework done, or they scream and they battle me. And of course there are a milieu of comorbid conditions like OCD and ODD and Asperger's and other things that tie in a little bit, but right now we're going to stay focused on the ADHD. And as we go through, I believe, and many other parents believe, that the wrong approach is with drugs and control. So listen, remember that, as somebody who's watching this webcast, I know if you're paying attention or not. On this right-hand side, where the attendees all listen up, I get a big exclamation point shows up if someone's not paying attention really well. So at the moment, everybody who's paying attention, I want you to raise your hand. Let me put them all down first, all down. Now I want you to raise your hand so that I know everybody's paying attention. because what we're going to be doing and talking about is extremely important, because most people have the wrong idea about how we're going to go about homework, projects, and tasks. And I'm not going to tell you everything. I can't do that. But I'm going to give you an idea of where to start. And it's going to be important. So I want you to stay glued to your computer and listen up. Now, with that being said, nowadays parents and adults and kids need a tried and true way of understanding, containing, and redirecting the enormous energy that comes with having the traits of an ADHD brain. We agree. We now know by research it's anatomically different. We know there's some genetic issues. The genetics has come up more and more in the past, I feel like the past month itself. The digestive system is different, and that's finally getting some people looking at it and doing research into it, why the enzymes aren't in the correct amount, quantity. What enzymes do we need particularly? What foods do we need to be eating correctly so that we don't cause issues, inflammation, hyperactivity? The inconsistent firing of the neurology systems. We know that's there. We've been doing a lot of research. Europe is doing way more research than people in America. And using glucose different. You know, we love our sugar, we love the carbohydrates, and it's interesting where the brain can only use glucose as energy anyway. And so we can't just cut out carbohydrates. We need to be smart about what we're eating and how we're feeding these children and ourselves, and whether it's parents with ADHD or adults with ADHD or kids with ADHD or ADD for that matter, we need to be eating correctly on a regular basis, not to just treat, these symptoms of impulsivity or treat symptoms of distractibleness and hyperness, but because we need to be eating better. Plain and simple. Human body functions better when we eat better. Now, what happens when the two sides of the brain are not integrated? So look at these 7. Difficulty understanding directions. Yeah. Difficulty with reading. Late crawling and attainment of other milestones. This comes up a lot. Most people don't think it's a big deal, but it really is. Difficulty with organizational skills. Right, so that's some of that executive functioning area. Impulsiveness. Whether their behavior itself is impulsive, or their words are impulsive, or their ability to control their emotions is impulsive. We're all nodding our head in agreement, and I see 10, 15 to 20 different hands going up right now, people giving me a high five, because everybody understands that these 7 things are huge. And especially this last one, a diminished concept of consequences. We can all chuckle, tongue-in-cheek with that one, but it's very important that we understand that a person with ADHD has a brain that can function very fast, and in split seconds make decisions about whether they're going to get caught, whether it's worth it, whether the consequence is worth the crime, whether they're willing to get in trouble to do something, or sometimes they just don't have that gap between stimulus and response. So we work on that. We work on them being more aware of themselves, because typically people with ADD and ADHD are not great at self-awareness. That has to be taught and learned. Now, those of you who agree with me, I want you to raise your hand on that little right-sided toolbar there. Raise your hand, and so I know that you're paying attention, and I know that you agree with me. Good. More hands up. Good. Good. Okay. Great. So let's move forward. Now, possible. This is what's possible. This is what's happening. There's better global brain function, because we can now use EEG sensors. We can now use different devices to find out all this cool stuff. Increased ability to synchronize sensory information. Improving the person's braking system. That's that pause button we talked about, where the gap between stimulus and response is. Improving the brain's ability to learn and moderate behavior, attention, and impulsivity. That's huge. That's fantastic. People get started in a program, and they think immediately things are going to change, but they inherently know that it can't. It's not an overnight thing. It's not even an over-month thing, and everybody's different based on their experiences growing up with it, based on their experiences as a child of parents, based on being a parent, based on how well they're actually going to follow our recommendations. Now, that's how quickly people get better. So that's important to know, that everybody gets great results from our program, for those as much energy they put into it. So we want to downshift the motor hyperactivity, helping emotional swings and frustrations, improving all aspects of the functioning, and creating permanent neuroplastic changes in the brain and central neurology. I was in a hurry to get down to this one because this is my favorite part. This is where everybody can change. We can change. It's been shown that we can change. It's just typically most people don't want to actually put in the effort to make the change. I was at a meeting with some leaders with essential oil companies, and someone had mentioned up front about the inability to have responsibility, and it was just huge. And I said, please say that again. And she repeated it, and I was hoping that it would sink into everybody in the room to understand that we are so responsible for where we are in our own lives right now because of everything we have done or have not done. So we need to take responsibility for that and really know you can make changes. So here are some of these solutions to problems of home and school. All right, now look, let's review what we're dealing with. Prefrontal cortex, that's executive functioning. We're looking at organizing, prioritizing, analyzing, staying on task, getting back on the path. Whew, that's a tough one. And awareness of self. Now, of course, there's hundreds of solutions, hundreds. Now, every kid is individual. Now, understanding ADD and ADHD is where it all begins. So that's why we talk about other stuff in the beginning of this. So let's get a list here. These are school solutions. Providing additional supplies, using the right supplies, getting assignments in writing, color coding folders, books, supplies, designing a folder system that works for them, not that just works for you. This has got to work for the person we're trying to help. Review the current IEP for the 504 plan, which we're going to plan on getting some experts onto another call or a webinar or a presentation at a library coming up soon. We want to scout the school, organize school systems together, create a home staging area. That means that everything you would need to do the work needs to be in one place, so that when we needed to get a pencil sharpened or another piece of paper or a notepad, I don't want to have to leave my desk to go look for it somewhere and then get completely distracted and end up doing the dishes. So you understand how ADHD works. If it's not, the brain's not stimulated enough, it's going to look for distractions. So we need to pay attention to that. Plan specific after-school activities. Children need to move. They have to have exercise. They need to burn off a lot of this excess stuff. So if your teacher is one of those people that likes to take away recess, please have a talk with them, because that's the exact opposite that needs to be done. Make a calendar with your kid. There's phones, apps, there's iPads, iPods, Google stores, whatever. There's calendars all over the place, and there's new task apps all the time. I'm working with a new one now lately that is pretty cool, and I'll talk about it later. The nutrition excellence. Very important that we get the concept along to the kids, that the brain works because they eat well. And they start to learn. Adults, they're like, yeah, I know. And I'm looking at them right in front of me, and I just want to say, if you knew, then you wouldn't be here. So we need to listen to the truth. We need to listen to some of the tough ideas of how we're going to get into a better frame of mind and a better way of living. So on the right-hand side, talk with your teacher about ADHD. Now, Well Done, that's a book that we discuss frequently at our Mother's Morning Out support groups. It's about looking for someone to do the right thing and then also guiding them into a new behavior that they can be praised or recognized for. I want you to be specific when giving commands. Got it? Assign a classmate to clarify directions. Avoid multiple step directions. Avoid multiple step instructions. Communicate. Communicate means if A tells B something, B should be able to tell A exactly in their own words what A said. So when you're talking with somebody who has ADD and ADHD and you want to get the point across about the homework or about the project or about the task, you have to say to them, okay, what did you hear me say? And let them tell you. And let them tell you. Don't stop them in mid-sentence. Let them tell you, like how they received it is so important, because you don't know that they received it correctly, or they may have received it enough that they can begin the work. So let them tell you in their own words how they received it. And if you did a poor job of communicating it to them, you need to do it again. Also, find a tutor if you need to. Discuss how allowed movements in the classrooms with other teachers or daycare providers or coaches or wherever we're doing this. Teach several quiet exercises for kids. Velcro on the bottom of the seat helps with a lot of the fidgety kids and the stimulus. They can just kind of rub their fingers on it, and we find it also quiets down the brain as well. Stretching, please stretch. We work with parents, adults, and kids and get them to stretch, and they're always like, hey, the stretches you taught me, they actually work. Like, of course they do. So we want to move on from here. Let me see if I can jump through this a little bit and see what I'm looking at. Let's see now. Okay. I wanted to find something different here. Bear with me for 1 second. So, when we're looking at, I'm going to slow that down. I'm going to go find what I need to find, and I'm going to discuss this for you. There's 3 things that are important that you must have in place to start projects and to start homework tasks and to start dealing with getting things completed and getting things started. Okay, so that's super important. So we're going to get started there with talking about structure and motivation and novelty. Okay, so I want to show my screen here. Alright, good. Now we got that straight. Let's get back to this. So look, structure, motivation, and novelty. This is where that is very, very important. So PowerPoints get mixed up so quickly. So motivation is what's in it for me. We can get to that and we can talk about these things. Keeping track of homework and books and at school versus homeschooling. Get an assignment notebook, a student planner. Allow students to dictate assignments into a phone app or recorder. Staple the teacher's weekly lesson plan into the student's planner. Reduce the number of papers that are sent home to be signed. That's crazy. Just scan them into email and send it to the parent. Get monitors to help get students to have a second set of books at home. Those are pretty new ideas. Getting an extra locker or cubbies for the take-home things, books, lunch boxes, and etc. So some of these solutions at home, making sure this homework comes home, right? And of course, on the other side of that, make sure the homework gets turned in. One of the little boys that I work with, and very bright, such a smart kid, and he gets the homework done, and 8 out of 10 times it gets into the homework folder. That when the teacher says, okay, everyone take out your homework, sometimes it makes it out of the folder and sometimes it doesn't. So we've instituted a homework buddy, someone to help him, who pays better attention and things like that until he can get it on his own. But if you're doing the work, you got to get paid. So I want you to create a homework spot. We talked about a home staging area. Procrastination, we're going to get to that. And schedule the breaks. This is great for projects too. Concentration takes a lot of energy for the kids. So a 5-minute break every 20 minutes helps them recharge. 5. Not like 5 that turns into 10. 5. Projects and tasks. Procrastinating. Put off not doing something. Got it? And it always takes less time to finish a project than we think. So if you're going to go procrastinate, just put off procrastinating. Just get it done. Just go do it. You'll be amazed. We did a whole other talk about time management where literally when you finish a cycle of action, you create time in your day because you don't have to go back to doing that certain thing. Now, breaking down things into checklists. They say, well, how do you eat an elephant? Well, I can eat an elephant one bite at a time. So take down the giant projects with big goals and things like that so that the person isn't overwhelmed. Break it down into small tasks with the rewards to completing those objectives and tasks, okay? And check it off. Check it done. That's done, so they know. Plus the checklist also shows them that they are making progress, and we love making progress. Very good that we're productive and not just busy. Okay, now motivation. We've got to answer this for them. What's in it for me? Like, what am I going to get out of this? And as a parent or an adult or a student, we're all different at what motivates us. Now, majority speaking, somebody like Tony Robbins would say that most human beings are motivated more by pain than they are pleasure. Well, that's very true, and we can also tie that into the reward and penalty system, so we understand like what's the best thing that makes this person tick to get their projects completed and their tasks finished. Novelty is the last one. What makes it interesting? It's weird. Is it cool? Is it new? Is it different? Thinking outside the box. That's what we like to do. I'd much rather do something that's exciting and new and fun rather than just rehashing the same old thing over and over and over, because that gets very bored. We get bored quickly. So, that's a lot of stuff. I want you to know that the ADHD Rescue Program improves the positive expression of ADHD symptoms. Positive expression. Those adjustments, they are amazing. Increasing neural efficiency, decreasing neural stress. That's the entire thing that the spinal cord sits in. We're reconnecting the spine, the back of the brain cerebellum to the prefrontal cortex. There's neurological reintegration through the application of very specialized and specific physical exercises and movements. The dietary nutritional shifts in vitamins, oils, supplements, and regimens. It looks like I should use spell check, huh? So now, the brain-friendly lifestyle advice. This is because we take care of so many people in so many walks of life, and I've been through so much myself personally, plus I've been coached and am a coach myself. So the advice that we're giving people and talking to them, I'll tell you what, everything I tell people to do and recommend works. It doesn't work when they don't do it. Now the last couple of things, the Mind Play interactive games, apps, and reports is getting stronger and closer to absolutely like being complete reality daily in people's homes, and creating reports every 25-30 days for their teachers or their therapists based on their progress with the impulsivity, the inattention issues, and being able to purposefully focus. That's some neat stuff, and I know you've read my blog and you keep up with me, so you know what that's about. If you don't, send me a message on Facebook and I will talk to you about it. Now, the vitalistic and humanistic approach to healing, that's inherent. That's how I live. That's who I am. That's where I think first, is how can I heal better? How can I get stronger? How can my immune system be better? I rarely do something to treat an issue, okay? I base my thinking and my life around how can I not get into those issues. If I get a little bit quote-unquote sick, I just feel kind of blah for it. I just feel kind of out of sorts. I don't get sniffles or coughs or flus and all this other stuff too. I'm just a little bit out of it. So then by the rest of the day, I'm good to go, because my health is so much higher than most people, because every day we're doing things particularly in the concept of building the immunity, building the strength, and making sure that I don't run into those issues. I mean, we touch hundreds of people a week and we're not getting sick. So clearly we're doing something correct. So you can keep up with that. Now, you've been to my Facebook fan page, and it's really awesome that now there's this cool button now. If people want to book now, they want to schedule an appointment. Even patients now go to this fan page and schedule their appointments, their regular patients. New patients come in and schedule directly from there. But the coolest piece is if you're on this webinar and you're new to our practice and you would like to begin the ADHD program, because you took time out of your snow day in Richmond and it's probably still raining outside, I will give you back $200 off of the 1 hour evaluation that's full and complete, where typically it runs over an hour and I answer a bunch of questions and I make things make sense to moms and dads and to the kids and build rapport and confidence. Now, if you want to also just go directly to that URL at the bottom, Dr. Ecka's scheduling online system. Super simple. When you schedule online, you'll get all the information about the program. You'll also get the forms to fill out before you get there, and everybody who comes in will get the full hour evaluation, get everything. You do not have to make a decision right there. But I think once you come in and you listen and you realize what's going on, what's the problem and why hasn't it been fixed yet, and what we can do to help you, it really becomes a no-brainer. And so we try and make it as affordable as possible for most people. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and take a bunch of questions from people. So if you have questions, there's a thing on the right side. You can type it in, and I'll ask you. So I'll let all the questions come through. Boom, boom. Wow. Okay. Got it. All right. A lot of these questions keep coming up over and over. I should probably put something on the blog about most of these answers here. Okay. Question is, they have paperwork from another doctor, a medical doctor. Yes. Yeah, before I meet with the client, I would love to see the information from the other doctors as well. Dr. Bright sends me information, or with the clients too. Dr. Butnick, who's also a medical doctor who we've received referrals from to help the kids with ADD and ADHD, and as they continue on with our program, he tells them to keep coming back, so that's wonderful. But yes, if there's diagnostic reports from another doctor, please bring them in. That goes the same for IEPs. Bring those to me as well so I can read and get the more clear the picture I can get for you, the better I can help you. Next one. Yes, this is an out-of-pocket program because it's not an insurance covered program, because most of the procedures, most of the things we're doing, really at this point we're giving away the chiropractic adjustments. The time spent with me and the work we've been doing far exceeds the cost of the program anyway, but to do all the paperwork and all the coding and all the stuff that would have to be done would be a nightmare, and today's reimbursement rates are terrible. So at the moment we make it affordable. It's an out-of-pocket expense that there's several different ways to pay for it if you want to. Flex spending is allowed as well, so are HSAs. So it doesn't make too hard for people to get started with this. What else? Yes, there are supplements included. There are essential oils included. If we need to use different bean bags, wobble boards, Theraballs, and things like that, just like it says on our website, those are included in the program. Let's see. To know the general amount of the entire program itself is a 6-month program. It's twice a week for the first 3 months, and then it's once a week with me. Got it? And the entire program is $2,500. So that is something that is extremely affordable compared to other companies who, before I name any names, want to balance the brain, I guess I could say it that way, and they are $5,000 or $6,000 for, I think, half the time, and they're taught by people who buy a franchise. It's annoying. So I have found that the $2,500 mark is affordable for many people. Paid in advance, you get $500 back, so it's actually under $2,000 if you want to start that way. And then, of course, we break it down into 6 months payments, or I believe just 3 months. I don't know. Jennifer takes care of all that stuff. My job is to get you better. My job is to connect and build rapport and get results. And that's our job. And I go to great length to make sure I get the results that I tell you we're going to get. It's fantastic to watch, too. It's really neat to watch. Everybody's different. But in terms of the price of the first day is $200 because you get the 50% discount. And the total cost for the program would be $2,500 if you paid it in payments, but if you pay it in full in the beginning, it's only $19.97 or something like that. So I hope that answers that question. Yes, in the beginning, twice a week, there are adjustments, and then the next 3 months, there's going to be once a week. There are several people who are doing once a week adjusting because they live so far away. I have people driving in literally over an hour and a half, one way, hour and a half, to come see me to do this, and they're doing fantastic. So we really hit onto something here. I think that this should be even a bigger program within the Richmond area, and I know that we're continually to build momentum and we're making friends and alliances. So let me see if there's any more questions. That's an interesting one. Yes, more than one. Let's see. 3 different times, no, now 4, I have worked with a set of twins. I have worked with 2 brothers that were foster children, adopted, and then a brother and sister, a couple years apart, and now also 2 sisters that I believe that the entire family, should work together on this. If both of the siblings, kids have ADD and ADHD, then we can talk about that. We can probably work something out. The evaluation can be done for both of them at the same time. That has been done, as long as there's people following directions and not completely just doing whatever they want to. But we can definitely, we would have to have more time than an hour, though, if we were going to work with more than one client. So if you want to schedule for 2, we definitely want to call the office at 804-859-5406, and we'll have to create a special appointment block for that one. But I'm more than happy to take 2 clients at the same time. I have done it successfully every time we've handled that, and now that I'm thinking about it, like all the families that we did that with, the kids got really, really well very quickly. It's interesting to see how twins are, and brothers and sisters versus sisters and sisters. So that's another question. What else we have? All right, good. Scheduling's easy. Even if you want to schedule online now and do, use your discount, that's fine. Or if you need me to talk to you personally, send me a message on Facebook and just say, hey, can I get like 15 minutes on the phone with you? I got some other questions. And that's going to be it for today, folks. There's a lot of yucky weather heading our way, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I hope you got a lot of value from this, and those of you who are here will be able to receive a recording, and if you'd like to share that around, feel free, be my guest. I really appreciate all the help that we get on social media, and the more and more people meet me, the more they realize that we're real, and all the stuff that we say is absolutely true. So have a wonderful day, and take care and be safe. Bye-bye.